Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Deals with Dean. Today we have a property that we're going to talk about that literally went up in flames. You're going to want to stay tuned for the details. Let's go. All right, everybody, before we get started, gonna make this real simple for you. Go to YouTube. You'll see this page here. You just gotta search youtube.com/Dean Rogers. It'll take you right to the page and take a look at this, guys. I'll even tell you where to go. Right here. Hit that subscribe button. Go to a video, smash the like button. We appreciate the support. Stay tuned for more videos. All right, let's dive right in here. So we had another friends with benefits deal where we had a wholesaler bring us this property. He already had it under contract. It was one of those ones where it comes to you and you're like, not sure this is such a good deal. Well, we gave it a shot because we knew it was right there on the fence. We sent it out. This ugly house was beat and just not looking like it was going to work out. But believe it or not, we had a handful of investors that were interested in buying it right away. So naturally, I told them, hey, why don't you go drive by, take a look at it, make sure you still like it. After some drive-bys, the offers started coming in. Most of them were around the price we had it under contract at, and some of them were below that as well. So after going back and forth with a couple different investors, we ended up deciding to move forward with one investor, which ultimately was going to land us $5,000 total profit. So nothing to be too excited about, but nonetheless, it's another deal. We decided to move forward. One of the contingencies of this buyer was that he wanted the property vacant. Understood, they had a lot of junk. He wanted that gone. The sellers, they were sitting out front in lawn chairs, no grass, just dirt, barbecue or marshmallowing on a man-made fire pit in the front yard. So you could tell the buyer was like, yeah, no thanks. Get the sellers out, get their junk out, and I'll buy it. So we were working through that situation, trying to get the sellers out, and they were really taking their time. Turns out the son pretty much said, I'm not going anywhere. Was pushing back, was giving some trouble. We really had to lean on the seller there to have her to speak with the son and explain this was going through. So we finally get the son on board. We're good to move forward. Things are progressing. The seller finally gets out. The property's vacant. Most, but not all, of the junk is gone. And it looks like we're on our way to closing. Turns out the city had some liens on the property that still had to get clear. So we were working through that issue. Turns out there was what's called a substandard housing stipulated agreement that needed to be signed. Now this is what happens when the seller has liens that have gone too far and are too extensive in terms of the damage and what needs to be fixed. So the buyer has to sign the substandard housing stipulated agreement that really says, I, as the buyer, accept that there's these issues. I agree that I'm going to fix them, and I'm going to fix them within a certain time frame. I've personally signed for these on many houses that we've bought, and at the end of the day, if you don't follow through with getting it done by a certain time, the city is allowed to put heavier liens on the property, which of course costs money, and you don't want to deal with that. All right, so once that other problem came up, the buyer decided he was cool with that, was gonna get it signed, scheduled the time to go in and sign. When he did that, he made another stop by the property to check it out. Lo and behold, there's another issue. There was a notice posted on the door that said the house was uninhabitable. No one can live there. So obviously that is a major problem if you're buying a house and you wanna sell it to someone that's going to call it home and live there themselves. So that was another issue that prompted the buyer to call the city and find out, well, what's the issue here? Why is it uninhabitable? Turns out that the electrical issues were so bad and illegal, and there was plumbing issues that was extensive. The city basically aired all the dirty laundry. So the buyer called me right away and said, hey bud, there's some issues here. I'm gonna need it for $10,000 less. Now remember, we were only making $5,000. So we didn't have any room to bring our price down to just make the deal work. We had to go back to the seller and renegotiate. Now the wholesaler had said from the beginning, he'd already told the seller that the price was probably gonna be too tough to make happen. We needed to do our due diligence, and if something came up, we might have to renegotiate the price. And that's exactly what happened. So I called the wholesaler next, told him of the issue. We needed a $10,000 price reduction to maintain the $5,000 that we were looking to make. So the wholesaler went back, negotiated, called me, let me know he got a $15,000 price reduction, which meant that not only was the buyer going to get the $10,000 reduction he wanted, but we were going to make an additional $5,000, total of $10,000 on this deal. Made it a little sweeter. Whew. All right, so we finally overcame all those different obstacles and hurdles through the way and got the deal closed. Yes. So deal was closed, signed, sealed, and delivered. Wire hit the bank account. I gave $5,000 to the wholesaler. We kept $5,000. We split it 50-50. Turned out to be an okay deal. But the drama didn't stop there. Got a message from the wholesaler about a week later saying,
look what happened to the property we just sold.
And he sent me this message right here. What it was the city reporting on a fire that took place on the house. Turns out that the crazy crackhead's son could not get over the sale of the house, was pissed off, and decided he was going to try to burn it down. I mean, that makes sense, right? And that is why you buy property insurance right there. All right, so that wraps up the crazy story on this one. There's never a dull moment for sure. Remember to take action, solve problems, get after it, and the results will come. Let's go, baby.